Zins, buddy?
Yeah,
Yeah? What do you have to say?
they're just looking for like, what do they call them, extras on a movie set?
An extra?
Yeah.
Do we have minutes
Stunt double?
that were sent?
Just wanted to pick
I
up
know
the
she had
guy
said
and
she
I
sent
picked
them
up
out,
the
I just didn't see them on here.
I'm your guy, Drew Ball.
Yes, they are done, they're just not in here.
I don't see them.
They are done, I just don't know how to find them on her computer.
And that's fine. I don't know if we just wanna, did anybody get a chance to look at them? Do we need to look at them?
I reviewed them, signed off on them, not that that's correct.
I don't really see that as a too big a deal for approving them, just to check, just in case.
We're recording.
Okay. All right, it is 7 o'clock. I'll call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the next agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made by Justin, seconded by Chris. All those in favor say aye.
I,
Those opposed? Motion passes. Just a second, let me make a note here. Okay, is there a motion to approve our meeting minutes from May 14, 2025?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Kyle, seconded by Chris. That's all right, Chris?
Sure.
All those in favor say aye.
I,
Those opposed? Commissioner reports, sheriff reports. Jeff, we'll write you in Public Works.
What do you wanna know?
What do you gotta tell me?
Just finished discharging the lagoon on Monday, so we'll be good now till fall. Pool's open, going well, state inspector's coming next Wednesday. I thought he was coming today, I had that written down wrong, but he'll be here next Wednesday to inspect the pool, which we have every year, and he inspects the campground as well. Patching, I had Fuller's here, if you guys saw that last week, we went through 470 ton, I believe. So we did quite a bit, but we did get a lot done. With that, I wish I would've known what I found out yesterday. Main Street's not getting done till the end of July. That's the tentative plan. The 18th, I think they're supposed to show up and they'll set manholes and water valve heights. So today I went to the county and got some, I got about a third of a load of cold patch. I'm gonna see if I can try fixing some of them holes the best I can. If I would've known this last
On the
week.
intersection, or?
If I would've known this last week, I would've had Fuller just make a couple ramps on the end. I'm gonna see if this works. If not, I might see if I could get Fuller back just to do a couple spots. I know people are gonna complain. Even though the world does not end for the Dutch Festival, it sure would be nice to have that done by the festival.
Will they come back later in the year anyway?
Yeah, they
I
come
knew
in the
that was
fall.
that was a big one that we used this month.
Yeah, yeah, 470 ton at $225 a ton, so. They usually come back in the fall and they'll fix up, where sewers have been fixed and if I got any other areas, so. What else do I got here? Started trimming a few trees, kinda fitting that in here and there, hope to do more of that, coming up. Brad's been working on, he's got lead and copper sampling to do, and he's been working at the pool, so he's kinda been in charge of the pool over there. Lots of locates been coming through with all the diggings, we've been working on a lot of them. Fixed the bike path up north of town this week, I poured a little bit of cement up there. I think that's all I have.
Did we take that tree down, or did that?
Yeah. So, I don't quite know the gist of how that all went, back when Luck's mom donated property to put a bike path in there.
Cause what do we call that, an easement or?
I don't even know.
No, we straight up own it.
Okay.
She gave property.
Yeah.
And this tree was pushing up that side, I don't know if any of you guys walk it ever, but.
But,
Take my
but
motorcycle
that-
down it.
This is motorcycle.
I have been hit up a lot
Makes
about
everyone mad.
motor vehicles on there that we had to put a sign up, and there's still people going down there, but whatever.
It's been a year and a half.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever makes you feel good, Chris. So, yeah, we tore that out. That whole sidewalk was rising up, so cut the roots out, and then I poured some cement there yesterday. I pulled the forms off today, got a whole little dirt up there. And I have not sprayed mosquitoes yet, haven't seen the need. I had the guy down last week and calibrated it, so it's all good to go, so.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jeff. Any questions from the council for him?
You're gonna be around
Tonight,
for the whole meeting, or are you taking off?
I can stay around.
Well, there's probably some insight that we'll probably wanna get your opinion on.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next, community concerns. Anybody here for community concerns? Okay, moving on. One new business item, gaming license application for pull tabs at the Gray Wolf.
There she comes.
There was a, separate file on that with a couple things to look at in your folder for that.
Yeah, I think just to start here, just heads up info. State of Minnesota does not call it gambling. I think that's due to the very successful casinos we have in the state, but it's just simply called pull tabs and bingo. They kind of lump them all together. This is like the first request that we've had for pull tabs. It's something that has been on my wall here as a to-do. Haven't really block and tackled it yet. A request came in from Curry Town and Country Boosters for the Gray Wolf location. Just kind of additional information here. So Edgerton would need to pass a new ordinance here requiring pull tabs to donate 10% towards organizations around the city, or create a fund, which is also another ordinance here for pull tabs company to contribute to 10%, and it's all to comply with the state statute. Now, on this side of the fence here, the statute requires 10% to be donated. Let's see here, mandatory state to pay out at least 30% expenditures, but this company actually pays out 45. As a city looking at this permit application, the struggle is ideal situations to have most of the proceeds really stay here in town. So that's the other side of it. Again, the only way we could do that is if city nonprofit or a nonprofit within the city actually moves forward. I figured that the proceeds would essentially be going to our major nonprofit services that the city already contributes. So that would be ambulance, fire, and then library as well. So moving forward here, the city would need to pass this ordinance here this next month to start this process as well. I talked to our attorney and just kind of inquired about, smaller cities, what kind of money does this generally add up to be? you an example of the city of Russell, which is a population of about 300. And what they do with their pull tabs is that the donation is roughly $1,000 to their services, their booster club, and then the bar owner, the organization would actually pay rent as well, and that's roughly about $1,000. So like in Russell, it's quasi a 50-50 organization to where they kind of split the proceeds for those pull tabs. That's how other smaller communities actually work. In this current situation, only 10% would be required to give to the local community, and then by law, it's up to 30%.
Did you say the request is made by a third party?
Yes. Curry County
TNC
Country
Gambling?
Boosters. Would you be Rod?
Yeah.
Okay. Rod, you have this current service in your other bar, correct?
Correct.
That's what I heard, and that's kind of what got started with all this, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
What is the reason for the third party?
We have to operate under their gambling license.
Okay, the license, okay.
I think Patty actually talked to them originally about bringing it in,
Okay.
but it's a gambling association that has to apply. He said it wasn't gambling, I understand that, but we do have to operate under somebody else. You use a Legion, or somebody has to have this gambling license. In this case, we use Curry Town Country.
So Patty couldn't apply for this license by herself, or
You have to be a nonprofit or 501c3.
all to even apply?
That's charitable gambling.
Correct. Correct.
Yes.
So it's Patty and Amy working together, but we're gonna operate under their gambling license. So Patty could not apply, she does not have a gambling license.
Unless you form Patty's Charitable Gambling LLC, apply for the gambling license under the
Yeah, well,
the
your fire
charitable,
department.
yes.
Your fire department probably has a gambling license, don't they?
You know what, I believe we've done it in the past along with the Dutch, you know, where they
Raffle.
raffled off, like
So you
guns
can
and
do
stuff
raffle.
like that. So, but if the, you know, others would like to keep the resources within the city, you know, the ambulance, the fire department, you know, the community chest, those are all entities that are nonprofit 501c3s that could really turn key on something like this quite quickly.
Well, I know other towns in the state of Minnesota that do it through their fire department via pull tabs. And they pay cash for fire trucks. Now,
Wow.
they're bigger than Edgerton, so let's go, but they pay cash for fire trucks.
You can do that, but you need someone who's Johnny on the spot. There's a lot of paperwork. involved.
Well, I'm not saying that's the route we wanna go, that's not,
Say,
that's not, I just know that it is a very effective potential finance tool if that's the route you wanna go.
Yeah.
Again, it's not just that simple, I understand, but
No.
there
One
are
person-
examples.
One person who's good at paperwork, it is the best way to go, but getting someone in a volunteer position,
Is it volunteer or is it a paid position?
in their case, would be volunteer, the fire
Well,
department
yeah, if you're
volunteer.
assuming the fire department, then it'd be volunteer basis.
I know Lake Wilson has toyed with it, but they're a little scared of the paperwork,
Sure.
so we've stayed with Amy.
Is it that large of a volume of paperwork? I mean, I don't have a clue.
I have not done it. They
Okay.
do the paperwork. They're very meticulous on what I have.
Sure, well, and I would imagine so.
Yes, all tickets have to be kept.
Sure.
From played games.
Sure.
Auditing. So, to me, implies it's meticulous.
Sure.
I thought that I would be that person and kind of get that ball rolling, but it would take the council to approve my time for something like this. If this is something
So what are you proposing here? What do you,
Well,
just
it's
so
up to
that,
you.
just so that I'm clear?
Well, there's two things. Number one, here we've got a third party that stepped forward that would like to hold pull tabs, number one. Number
Yep.
two, I had a conversation with the attorney to figure out what it would take, the timeline to actually get up and move with a present nonprofit throughout the community, and he thought that it could be done very quickly within a few months.
So you would be the dude doing the paperwork?
Yes.
You're a glutton for punishment, aren't you?
But it'd be only the application you'd be dealing with, right?
It would be Edmonton nonprofit would take the place of Curry, doing this, you know, is what I was thinking.
Yes, it'd be Friends of the Edgerton Community Gambling Association, so to speak,
Yeah.
whatever.
By doing that, we would gain 30%, right? Because as it reads here, so I wanna make sure I'm clear on this. So Amy has to donate 30% of her share, right, to her
The
charity.
organization,
Yep,
they're
and
running.
then we would get, if we went through her, she could do whatever she wanted with her 30%, as far as donating it. That doesn't have to be to anyone in Edgerton. We would get 10%. If we go through them, we would get 10% to a fund or the library, to the ambulance, right? Am I saying that correct? And if we form our own through a 503C that we have,
Well,
then,
it would be an association that's currently operating
yeah. that we
around
have.
the city.
Yeah,
Yep,
so basically we'd go from 10 to 40.
likely.
Or whatever you want to.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, we still gotta, I'm sure there's a fee to have it in these establishments, right? I mean, it's in there, that's,
Where does the rest of it go? We're only at 55% here, as I understand it. Where's the rest go?
I don't have a full breakdown of all the proceeds. I don't know what the payout is per pull tab. Is that the other, 60%?
Well, and I realize you got cost involved, and I'm sure there's tax involved, and a lot of fun things there.
The gals that run it, these are paid positions.
Sure.
When they come down,
Yeah.
they do bingo, you guys maybe never, they do a lot of big bingo things, like Saturday, we'll have bingo under the tent.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be 60, 80 people,
Step up to the mic. Thank you.
there'd be 60, 80 people there.
Yeah,
That's the
sure.
thing I think would work better for town
Sure.
here.
How does this work for your business?
For my business, we do not pay rent,
Yep.
I get a percent.
Okay, okay. Business gets a certain percent, and, I mean, obviously, it's good for business?
It's a nice shot in the arm, isn't gonna pay the bills,
Sure.
but it doesn't hurt, and it's a draw.
Yeah,
I'm not sure on the 10% you're talking about, I've never heard that before. Not doubting you, I just don't know.
Yeah.
But I've never dug into it.
I'm learning quite a bit, very, very quickly here, legalese, from attorney.
So what they did last year, every fire department in Murray County got $5,000.
okay.
Every ambulance in Murray County got $2,000. They do not pull the money from the towns. So the percent of what Patty does here,
Mm-hmm.
and they give back at the 45% level, will stay here.
Sure.
And they generally, I believe they played with daycare, you mentioned libraries, but generally goes EMTs and
Mm-hmm.
higher equipment.
Hospice was also in that email too,
Okay.
where,
I did not
in
read
her
what she sent you.
email that she sent, I provided to the council as well.
hospice and animal rescue.
Yep.
Okay,
And this is an annual license, correct? Each year, this would have to be approved.
that could be.
Okay.
And she deals with it with the city of Lake Wilson.
Okay.
I only run the equipment or dealing tickets.
Okay.
So,
And in your bar here, is this a box that you are pulling out?
if they come here, they're gonna start with boxes. I have electronic machines.
Okay.
Now, they usually will end up with 3 forms. I have E-tabs, you guys understand E-tabs, we have pull tabs, E-tabs is computer, but it's through them. It isn't just on the internet. And then we run what we call a bass bait game. It's usually a gun raffle, but it ends up being pull tabs. You know what I mean? But they call it a gun raffle. That's worked the best for me. You can do cash, you can do meat raffles. Guns just work the best for me. So we do it. I always have a gun hanging there. You can always play for it.
So your pull tabs, those are physical in the box?
On the gun raffle, yes. The rest are in a machine.
Okay.
So,
And when you say a machine, you're talking, like a tablet?
no, that would be E-tabs. When I'm talking a machine, it's like any
Just a
electronic machine.
mechanical dispenser.
Yes,
Box.
good summation.
Okay,
Put your money in, it gives you your tickets. I have nothing to do with that,
okay.
other than complain it's not working.
Gotcha, gotcha.
You know, other than that,
So previously, you know, Patty, I brought this up and, it was mentioned, like, I don't know, I was thinking like, you were concerned about the labor for the pull tabs and all that. And so I'm thinking that I would need like a tab dispensing machine in order to move forward. And I was, thinking of when do I slide this into the budget? Because I think that it's gonna be $5 to $7 grand or something like that in a couple of years. But anyway, that's what I was thinking of, like a cost constraint to actually move forward. But I believe, I've talked to the fire and ambulance here, and there are funds that could be used to turnkey, technology like this.
I don't know on pilot machines. My electronic machine is 15,000.
Okay.
That's why if they start with her, they're gonna do boxes. It will be hand counting at first. They're not gonna put in or go buy a machine until they are convinced it's gonna work in this community.
Gotcha.
So, but they're kind of picky.
Okay.
Can I ask a question as a newspaper lady?
Please, feel free.
When, if you get your license through Curry, this company, and she has to donate, she gives 45% of the proceeds to charity. 45% of what you make would come back to Edgerton. That's where she's put her charitable donations, or does she give that to Murray County? Does
She
get to
implied to
pick?
me, this would be the first one out, well, that I'm aware of outside of Murray County. She implied to me it goes to this community.
This community, they would
In
donate
Murray
back to the
County, they put
community
it
where,
all together and divide it between all communities.
sure.
But it
But
was
because
implied
this
to
one would
me-
be in a different community, she
Yeah.
would donate,
And you'd probably be better off if she included you in all of it.
right?
You follow?
I follow.
I go through a lot of pull tabs. So, I don't know.
You're saying if it was not successful at first, and we were included in that bigger group, that would be more beneficial.
That's kind of my thinking. You get up around the lakes, they
But,
go through a
but
lot of
that's
pull
not up,
tabs.
but that's not up to us, is it, or?
We wouldn't control that.
No, that'd be the Murray County, no, Curry,
Yep.
Town and Country Gambling Association.
We can keep discussing that, but what are we looking for tonight, like, for decision?
I think right now here, I will need a vote to move forward with the, new ordinance to account for, this license. We would really have to pass a new ordinance to account for this license. And it's due to the,
We wouldn't be
monies.
passing the ordinance tonight,
No,
we
no.
would just be moving forward to discuss that next month.
Correct. The ordinance, I would likely have to send out, publish, you know, public hearing and all that for the reading next month and the approval.
And that, we need to do that regardless if we went through Curry or we started our own, correct?
Correct.
So there's no point in maybe not doing it? I'm just,
Well, the bottom line,
I'm-
emergency services
Yep.
just getting so expensive, so, I mean, here's a heck of an opportunity, just need to capitalize on it.
yep.
Yeah, the only question is how you're gonna word the ordinance after it's passed, after this is passed.
And I kinda asked, I was talking with Joel yesterday about that, of how that would be worded, and yeah, you said you might have to look up some examples of cities that have it already, or what we're thinking, so.
Right, I had a late call again with Matt, just to go through this process, just because it's legally very technical.
And we'll be able to view that if we do move forward, so, before our next meeting anyway, I hope.
Right. I can let you guys know when it all comes in. I know that he's recently, set this up for Russell, based on the numbers here that he gave me about their revenue here today, and smaller community.
So we just gotta we
Yeah.
just gotta decide if we wanna move forward with changing the ordinance. Cause that'll have to go
Not
to
even changing, just creating this.
creating it.
Creating, yes.
And then
So
we have a public hearing.
I would ask, is there a motion to move forward with creating an ordinance to comply with, I don't know, how you wanna say that, state regulation, or just to make the pull tab available, pull tab options available?
Comply with statute 349-213.
That one.
Right, and the statute's in your folder as well there.
Yeah,
Okay. On local authority, so we'd have to make that an ordinance of 349-213.
mhm. Are you making that motion?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay. I didn't know what you said first, so I'm just checking.
Just wanted to make sure if I did, I could have the right number.
Think of the word, right?
Jill, for the paper, can you just remind the people that this is not gambling according to Minnesota statute, this is pull tabs and bingo.
Bingo has to be on Wednesday nights at 8, so council meetings.
Here, here.
I'll support that.
I can't
Second.
make a motion, darn it.
Okay, so I'm gonna make the motion that we move forward with the Minnesota statute 349-213.
249, 213,
349 on ours.
is it?
Yeah, mine says 349-213.
Is it?
Correct.
Oh. Mine says it on the paper, but not mine.
Man,
I'm sorry, you're right.
no, it's all right. So there, do I have to do it again?
No.
Okay,
Second Justin's motion.
Okay, motion to move forward with this is made by Justin, seconded by Kyle. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thanks Patty and
Any other
Rod for,
comments at all?
No other questions for now?
thanks for coming for some of that info though.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Awesome, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You got liver and onions yet?
Yeah. Hurry up. Hurry up.
All right, moving on to some continued business, capital improvement plan. Our final punch list, something nice to hear, right Riley?
It's always good to hear.
Slow clapping from Jeff over there.
I'll just dive into work here.
Yeah, I can just give an update. The updates get simpler and shorter every month, so that's always good. But punch list is almost done. They have a couple signs to reset on Second Avenue and just a couple areas to address. There's been a couple, say a few items that have been brought forth over the last week or so that add to the punch list. We're coordinating with Holstein on that. List is really short right now. They got pavement markings done and they were here to to do some seeding work recently. So with that, we have the 10th payment. We've prepared pay application to Holstein for the project. It's about $126,000. It basically gets brings them all the way up to near the full contract amount. There's some retainage. There's about $75,000 worth of retainage still, plus a little bit of extra work they haven't been paid for yet. So all said, I think their next payment will be the final one, and it will probably be $90,000 to $100,000, something like that. Most of that being retainage. And so, really from here, what'll happen next is finish the few punch list items, and then we'll start processing final contract documents. There's a lot of paperwork that needs to be signed and pushed around to close things out with USDA yet, so that'll take a little bit of time. And then from there, it'll just, there'll still be a warranty period that continues on for the project. So I think hopefully come next month, we will have gotten to that point where we're working through final paperwork and getting some signatures and approvals from the city to sign off on things. And then we cross our fingers and hope the grass grows.
Got a nice little shot today.
Yeah. So with the warranty period as well, I mean, there'll be the project of this size. There'll probably be some things that show up over that time frame that Holstein will have to maybe come back and address. Hopefully not, but it wouldn't be unusual. Yeah.
Regarding the grass, I had an extra letter. I dropped one off on everyone's desk. Those letters went out like Monday here. DGR authored them. We sent them out just to let everyone know that the seeding and reseeding has been completed, and right now we just need everyone to water and tend to their boulevards moving forward. So far, I mean, people have reached out. They know that they need to water more. They begrudgingly admitted that. There's not much to say other than that, because it's just going to cost them a little money here to get that grass growing in front. But I don't know. I've been pretty happy here. Some areas that were quite thin, you can see the tractor tracks to know that they did slip seed several areas in.
So yeah, when they were in town, pretty much most of Mapleton Avenue had not been seeded yet, so that was seeded for the first time. But like Joel said, a lot of the rest of the project where it was bare, they overseeded that. We're hoping people, there's some weeds in those areas that we just need to keep mowed so the grass has a chance to fill in, and could be a need to spray the weeds, this fall or again next spring to hopefully the grass takes over and the weeds die off and things fill out and look better over time. But really it doesn't just take a couple months to establish a nice grass lawn. It takes a year or two to really for it to fill in and thicken up and look nice. So it takes time, it takes effort. So I'm hoping that all the people along the project will put in some effort there to help out with it. One other thing that'll play along with the closeout of the project and things wrapping up here is assessments. We had to go through the whole process before the project with the public hearing, developing the special assessment role, the preliminary special assessment role, sending out all the mailers and doing all that fun stuff. And then now as we get to the end of the project, we have to do another public hearing called the assessment hearing. The first one's called the improvement hearing. And at this next one, there will be people will have a chance to show up and say their piece if they disagree with their assessment or not, and finalize the the interest rates and term, if, for those that wanna let it roll onto their taxes as a special assessment. Otherwise, those that wanna just come in and write a check and pay it, they can do that too, so. Usually it's best to work through that before the October timeframe, because then it could be finalized and sent to the city, or sent to the county, so, before it fits in with their process then for the next year's taxes. So, it's June now, so, yeah, it's not too far away on that time frame. So we'll have to talk with Joel and see what month coming up might be best to fit that all in and make that happen.
Due to Minnesota statute and the preliminary levy, and I believe the preliminary levy has to be approved in the September. All right, so that means that this would likely be in August to start that process, to get all of those assessments recorded for this next year. And we need them next year because we didn't budget the additional interest to cover that.
Yeah, so, along with that, there has been one property that we've been in contact regularly with, about special assessments. In their, they own the property on the south side of Howard Street, just off of 4th Avenue. It's a long triangle shaped lot, there's a garage on it, there's no house. Really, the lot's not deep enough to allow for there to be a house there. But they have 200 foot of frontage on Howard Street. And the special assessment policy, usually for a project like this, the front footage method works best, which is just how many feet of frontage you have multiplied by a certain dollar amount. Here's your assessment. It's not a one size fits all. Whenever you have a project this big, it seems like there's always a few properties, or at least a couple, that don't fit well into that. They kind of, get treated unfairly, maybe, if you look at it that way. And this exact scenario I've seen in other communities at least once in the last, like 3 or 4 years ago. It was almost the same scenario. And that particular community had decided to reduce their assessment quite a bit, just because they had a special scenario. They had a lot of frontage on a lot that isn't that valuable because of the shape of it and the size of it. And so if you compare it to the next, a couple properties next to it that have a decent house on it, and they're just an average size lot, well, maybe their assessment should be closer to their amount and not 4 times as much, because of the shape of the lot. So I know that particular property owner has reached out on multiple occasions, wondering if there'd be a reduction in their assessment. And Joel and I talked about it some, and I guess my thought on it is that if you look at it, they have 200 feet of frontage, and their assessment would be the largest for any of the residential properties on the project by quite a ways. And they can't even really fit a house on their lot. A lot of the other small to average size residential properties on the project, are in that 50 to 75 foot of frontage range. So, this property probably, I guess, in my opinion, it probably would be fair to be in that range to fit in with those other properties. Just given this-
Say in that scenario, we change that assessment, where's the makeup come from?
So the city has, the city's not using any of the special assessment dollars to pay for this phase 1 project directly.
Okay.
Those dollars city will get that money back over a period of years, and that'll just replenish your funds, and it'll give you some money to put toward future projects or whatever you wanna spend it on. So it'd be a little bit less money coming back to the city in that fashion, but it wouldn't increase the amount that the other people are paying
Okay.
per foot.
The other feet here, just due to the triangle shaped property, there's very little you can do on that property. That's kind of the reality. And then in terms of financially here, due to the special assessments, we've got our big monster, USDA loan. That's gonna be there for 40 years. But what the special assessments will do is that they will be there to pay for the non-qualified expense, our sidewalks, our community facility loans. So right now here, based on the monies that will be coming in over this next, well, still don't have an agreed timeline.
5 to 10 years.
Right,
Yeah.
right, so those two additional loans that were there to pay for the non-qualified expense, there's more than enough to pay one off and then part of the other.
Okay.
So in year 10, regarding phase 1, the city will be in very sound financial position because we'll only have one very large USDA loan, and the rate that we're paying on that large USDA loan, it's like 1.7. It's virtually free money. And this just kind of popped up because it's just due to the math calculation for the front side footer. We didn't foresee this issue in the beginning when the council approved this assessment policy. This is just an absolute outliner for a property to be assessed $18,000 with a large portion of that property being virtually unusable based on our current building code.
Yep.
So the request is that unique property to evaluate that, not at the 200, but something that's more fair based on the usable dirt within that triangle.
Anything else?
Yeah, I don't really have any other updates.
Any other questions for Riley, anybody? Appreciate your work on that again, Riley.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're ready to move on. Excuse me, Small Cities Grant.
Last month, we had our big intro meeting for residential and commercial. I sent an email last Friday here to Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership here, just to kind of check to see what's the process, who's on first, how many applications do we have for each one? And let's see here, Mary Grag got back to me, she said that she's received 2 residential applications, one was over income very fast, and the other one is still in process. She said that there's no commercial applicants at this time. I got that Friday. I went over and I talked to a couple other commercial people to see if they'd be interested, and I'm waiting to see if they're gonna move forward with the application. The issue that I've got here is that a lot of these applications that we pulled 2 years ago, some people have moved forward.
Well, the water's pouring in the roof, you don't wait, I'm sorry, you just gotta fix the roof.
So, I need to find alternatives, that's bottom line. And I'm fine taking that slow. You know, I would really like, ideally, 2 residential, 2 commercial, to always be in process here. So this is just over a couple weeks So in the next few weeks here, I'll keep going around looking for residential and commercial applications just to move forward. Any additional questions?
Okay, next, open, Public Works discussion time here for that position. There has been an ad in the paper one time now, or I guess two today.
Yeah, today would be the second time.
Yep,
Right, and I reached out and I basically said, we need to set a closing date. So that's number one. How much longer would you like to keep it open? Jeff, feedback, what do you think?
How many applicants do you have?
We have one right now.
That must not be very nice to work with.
is there a, I don't know, is there a bookmark standard, something, what?
You know what?
4 weeks, 5
I was
weeks?
the last Joker hired, and that timeline was not quick. I know it's 6 months plus.
No. I suggest Friday, June 20th. That gives it one more week to go in the paper, right?
I'd at least run one more week in the paper. By that time.
I mean, if you think about it, then you gotta interview the candidates. That'll take a couple weeks. If they're working somewhere, it takes 2 weeks for them to, and then all of a sudden it's August 1st before they're actually starting.
Anyone
That's
else?
just my
think?
suggestion.
No,
Sure.
Well,
I'm not shutting you down.
as they may review the one interested party, I mean, is that even?
The hiring committee, employee relations committee has not convened to look over that applicant at all. And I figured that would kind of, roll into the next, item here, licensed tier compensation. So I rolled in your folder here, Minnesota, is that the league that has that compensation study that's coming out the 17th? And I thought there would be some useful information in that to gather. Kurt, the other day when we were talking, in the past, different licenses were used, as different compensation tiers, and in the past, there was, an amount. What was that amount for each license?
Was it $1, I think, $1 raise for after acquiring the license.
Jeff, any feedback? Is that right, wrong? What do you think?
That's what they did with me. I think that's what they did with Brad. I know that's what they did with Doug.
Okay.
I think Dan had that as well.
I'm pretty sure that's, because the last one was Brad when he got his water, and that was just in the last year.
Brad's got a D water, and right now, I believe that works, cause we're not using the treatment facility. But if we use the treatment facility, we're C water, that's why we have that in there, and I hope, eventually, we're gonna wanna get that in working order again. Right now, we're just blending and it's working great. But, Brad, depending what you guys wanna do with, you guys gotta decide, are you making me boss, or is Brad stepping into Doug's spot? I think Brad should have a C then, otherwise, he doesn't need a C, I have a C, so we're not out of compliance or anything
Nope.
right now. But those are some decisions you guys gotta make. I would strongly encourage you, the next person, to get licensed in everything. It's just good to have, and you don't know what happens. I'm not going anywhere right now, but.
That would be the goal, though, to,
Mhm. the goal for me to go somewhere?
Well, in so nice of words, to eventually replace you or Brad or whoever to.
Especially if they're younger, you know?
Yep.
Cause you and Doug had everything too, though.
Yeah.
Right, that's the end goal.
When Dennis was here, he had both, and he had me get the wastewater and Doug the water, in case something ever happened to him, or he quit, that we could keep going. After Dennis quit, then the council asked us to both go and get the others, so I went for my water and Doug went for his wastewater.
So I think depending on the candidates, right, I mean, then we make that, I think we can make that decision after we start.
That kind of leads into the next bit here, reporting structure. Right now here, Jeff and Doug reported to you. No one was supervising other Brad. They both co-managed Brad. But moving forward here, there will likely be some training and a reporting structure. So that would mean that the application out there would need to change a little, and then Jeff's job description would have to change a little as well.
And Jeff's on with that?
Whatever you
You're the boss.
Say it on record.
tell.
I mean, I think it's fair, I mean, especially right away, see who the candidates are, and we can reassess after a couple years of service or license, cause how long do they have to work before they can even test?
Depending
Depends on
on
their
if the
experience,
application, if the guy making the application or gal has any water or sewer experience, the state will allow for them to test right away. I know Dennis had that coming from Holstein. He could test immediately. I had to wait a year.
Okay, so they don't have any, if they have no,
So on
History with
background,
it.
they could do it immediately after starting. I mean, they'd have to get their date and.
yeah,
Time to study.
You'd probably be looking, if you got hired this summer, it probably wouldn't be till the following fall
okay.
when they do their test dates. I mean, right now, there's one in March, but obviously, we don't have anybody hired.
Yep.
That would be a question for the state as well.
Okay.
And Department of Health might say something different than MPCA. Sometimes it would be a question to ask them. It would be more than likely to be a year of working.
So can the committee just work through that then as we are, as we start interviewing, and then communicate with Jeff and you on that structure,
So
and
that's
then
the
bring it back to the
reporting structure.
council?
We can, but what we should decide, is that kind of what we're leaning towards, so we can change the ad? Or what you wanna call it, the ad,
Job description.
yeah.
What would need to change in the job description, I don't even know.
Well, on the posting that's out there online, it says that, does it say reporting to? No,
Same ones in the paper?
no, the job description that's online. I can't remember here, I believe it says reporting to council. So that would change to immediate supervisor.
Which, I don't think it's not
Okay,
a huge
yeah.
deal, it's just,
Right.
So we basically have to change reporting to the council to immediate supervisor and name
Correct.
it.
yeah,
Would you have the name, Jeff, or just, you have a?
no, I
I'd
would
just
just
say
say supervisor.
immediate.
Yeah, I'm just saying, okay.
Cause it's just for the position itself, so.
And then, employee relations committee here, we should book a time here shortly when that survey.
Did you figure out who that is? Is it
who did we meet with at Doug's exit? Justin and
Ryan,
Brian, there we go. That's who's on the Employee Relations Committee. So we would meet again, I think that week that survey is out, just to see what kind of information is out there in terms of tiering the different licenses, because there's some I think are probably more important than others. But
and that's the
again,
week of, that's next week, that's the 17th is next week Tuesday,
yep,
and I'm slammed.
Copy that. Wife's in San Diego.
the entire week. Okay.
And
Yeah, I got
you-
Summerfield.
You wouldn't have
programs.
to meet immediately after, you would just, you would really wanna have something figured out before you go into interviews for sure.
Yeah.
Cause I'm sure on the description, your pay is tiered versus on experience and qualifications and.
So the compensation, I think we just put, dependent on qualifications
Yeah.
and just very, very general.
That's what I mean, like, we don't have to know exactly right now, cause you're gonna start here, this is the ballpark where you could get after license, stuff like that, so. So we have time before we actually get to interviews and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think once, if we once we post a deadline, I think you'll see some more applications. Has there ever been more picked up or just,
I believe 2 other people have picked up, just haven't seen them come back.
yeah, so I think once you post that deadline, I think you'll.
You had said the 20th, I'd suggest the 20th or the 27th. Right before the end of June or one of those,
And I just base that on the timeline of
Yeah.
getting them in here by,
before
before,
beginning of July,
Yeah.
holiday. 'Cause the next weekend's a holiday, the weekend
Yeah.
after is.
so like if you do June 20th, you can sort through them. Then you're the 4th of July, then you can start interviewing them, it'll be August 1st before they start.
Probably wanna have your interviews done before your next council meeting.
Possibly. Depends when our next council meeting is, we're gonna get to that later.
Oh.
Gosh. Thanks for reminding me, I forgot about that bit.
I
Gosh,
didn't.
dang.
So, I'm fine either way.
Anybody else, 20, 27, any input, does matter? Doesn't really, I don't mind either one, so. It's been in twice, if we ended the 20th, it'll be in next week Wednesday yet, online and in the paper for 2 days before, so.
Leave it open for a month. And then that'd be 4 weeks, if you went to the 27th.
That's what I was thinking, just if we need a little longer, but yeah, I don't wanna prolong anything.
No,
Like you said, nice to,
well, the only, yeah, the thing is with the end on the 27th,
I mean, not like the
Then
week's
you're-
gonna break us, but
they're not gonna hear nothing from us, cause it's 4th of July weekend,
Dutch Festival's the next week.
yeah. I mean, I know Public Works is pretty important, but so's the 4th of July. Got fireworks, zigzags, smokers. I'll make a motion that, what do you wanna word it, application period for Public Work ends on Friday, June 20th.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Justin, seconded by Ryan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay,
Gotcha.
so that's the end date, and then we can work through that other stuff as we gather more information and applications and stuff like that, so. We ready to move on then? Transient business permit.
Yep, so here I'll just give the council a little heads up here regarding our whole food truck farm solicitor's license. How it all, what we actually have in our code. The solicitor's license is in code, and that is for door-to-door sales. The farmer's market and the food truck is a process that is not in code, but it's a process that the city has adopted over the years. The farmer's market process has been established for years, a heck of a long time. And again here, that's Wednesday afternoon, 5 to 9, in front of Coneflower. And the food truck that came up recently, we leaned on other communities around the area, and they said that they allow food trucks, but just not on public property. And so that's why the truck is over here at, across the street from the co-op on private property moving forward. Now, the council can allow an exception, but it's gonna be setting a precedent moving forward. So that's number one. Number two, I've also included transient business licenses in your folder as well. The one that I like a little more than the other is the one that's got the 5.32 at the top. It's a solid license where you would ask the property to really apply. What are they gonna sell? Where are they gonna be? I believe this asks for insurance and all that. So, I mean, that's a process. We do not have anything like that at all in our current code. My concern is just simply setting the precedent. It's not today, it's just in the future. It's the precedent that's set, that when you work in City Hall, anytime there's a precedent set for stuff that's outside the box, it creates problems.
So if we made it somehow possible for them to apply for this license, what would we have to do?
Well, we can simply move forward with another public hearing and start adopting one of these transient license here this next month, have it up for a public hearing as well.
Do we have a public hearing for anything else? That would be the only thing, right?
Yeah, we would have to have a public hearing for the gaming license,
Okay.
you know, that expanding the city ordinances.
That
for
would be next month too then?
Yep.
Because that's when we would decide or not? Okay.
So
I
you
did,
would-
go ahead.
So you would need, how would you need this worded in the motion?
A motion to move forward with establishing a solicitor's, a transient business permit, section, as identified as section 5.32 in your folder. Just so that we know which, transient license example that you would like, or we can simply leave it to you guys here, get back to me in the next 2 weeks on which one you like more in terms of the transient license. Motion to adopt a transient license.
Transient sounds so much like a hobo. Doesn't sound right. Sorry, it just doesn't, but.
At the same time here, guys, you need to think of what, you need to charge for this type of permit, because again, this is a transient business. I mean, they're not paying taxes here locally. And that's what we do here at City Hall. We do our best to protect the Main Street businesses.
Yeah, cause I mean, we adopt either one of these, this is potentially giving somebody permission to, cause this doesn't lay out any restrictions.
They would still have to come to the city council,
About where, when, and why.
not just to the office and apply for a license, it would still, every license would still be approved by the council.
Correct, correct.
And then the time frame, right? And the time frame.
Correct, you know, if this is a single time or something like that, that's different as opposed to someone regular. If you've got someone that's gonna post up regular, again, we've got businesses on Main Street that are paying commercial taxes.
But we do have the possibility to accept this one, deny that one. I know you talk about precedent, but, you know, every situation, if they're gonna be some kind of transient merchant, that it could be something small and they do it like they wanna do 3 times a summer per year. Or if someone, you know, that, you could say yes to that one and somebody wants to do it every single week in this spot, and you're like, no, that's not the best spot, that could be a no, so I mean, it still has to come to this body to, oh, that, yeah, we can accept that one, not accept that one.
Yeah, I like it because it gives us something, you know, they have to go through a process,
Protocol for this.
and then it's up to an approval, not just, yeah, no,
Not just an application.
yeah, I like it. I mean, I'm not sure which one, but I think it's a good process to put in place.
Like the farmer's market one, they come in, they pay, and they leave. We don't hear anything of who's actually sitting there, so this one, they would show up, or maybe they wouldn't show up, but the application would come to us, and we either accept it or deny it.
But what makes this different from the farmer's market is the day, time, location. The farmer's market is a day, time, location, so this is unique.
Does somebody govern the farmer's market? Or can anybody go do farmer's market? What, is there restrictions?
Well, there's a quasi person that lets us know if there's a merchant there that hasn't paid, if they don't have like their card posted for the current year that they've came in to pay. So,
But there's nobody saying what can and can't be sold there? I mean, I'm just curious, what if we got
People
somebody
come
wanna
in-
sell marijuana gummies at
um,
the farmer's market?
well, thank God we haven't had that. But, let's say if someone has, baked goods that they wanna sell, there's, a state process license that is in place that they must have. So in order to sell those baked goods and receive our, farmer's market permit, they must show us that they've got this,
Some liability, right?
it's liability, well, it's all state managed.
Okay.
But if someone's just selling like sweet corn and stuff like that, they just come in, let us know that they're selling. This last week, we had a gal come in and say that she's gonna be selling flowers. Very quick, easy. There's no additional state license to get in that situation. But with the gummies, I would bet that there's state compliance along that line.
No, but like the flowers, you say that, I think of Wendy right away, like, you know, that's right in her business. So, yeah, I just curious, I mean, the farmer's market sorta does its own thing until something comes up, and then we're like, you know, cause we don't really have a say-so over farmer's market, do we?
For the most part, no. In the past, there have been people with the farmer's market that have posted in front of your business and said that they're with the farmer's market.
So they pick and choose where they wanted in the past. There wasn't a designated area.
Well, no, there was a designated area. They just posted in front of your business. And it's just because they want to catch people as they're coming and
traffic.
going on a regular basis.
Yeah.
As opposed to down where others were.
Huh.
This in no way, shape or form would, I just know we approve every year certain permits for the vendors that come in for Dutch Festival, the dates, this would not muddy that up where we'd have to list, you know what I mean?
We openly say that anything relating to Dutch is handled with the Dutch.
Okay,
That,
I just don't want it to like all of a sudden now we have
there's no gray area here, none
3,000
whatsoever.
more requests over that, you know?
Which, if they did, they would have to come to the next meeting if it was before the Dutch, and you could deny it.
Yeah,
Just saying.
I just like how the Dutch handles their,
Yep.
We do have multiple vendors for the farmer's market that have asked repeatedly, we want a location here for the Dutch during whatever, and we, please, here's a name, follow up with them.
Mhm.
We don't bless anyone at all, it's, you need to talk to that group separately.
Can I ask a question, because I wasn't here last month. when
Okay.
we discussed this in depth. How is, so this all came from the coffee cart, right?
Correct.
Carl wants a coffee cart, it's a different business that he would let sit outside his business.
Correct.
I get, that's a transient business, right? It's
Correct.
not a brick and mortar tax-paying business.
Correct.
How is that different than if Merchant Company has a vendor fair and they have 20 businesses on the street?
I did not know that.
Well, I mean, we've done that, we've done girls' night out, we've done, you know, and they set up in the street, we close the street, and we let all these people come to town. And we want them to be here because they bring people to town, and then they go shop at our regular stores, right? That's the hope. The chamber itself facilitates that event. How is him having a coffee cart different than that?
Well, I think in the past here, when the prior renter there, they would just hold events and park a food truck there.
Yep, they've done that before.
Right,
Yep,
and
yep.
I caught wind of that, and I told them that this is not right. We've got tax-paying
Right, I
folks
get
here
that,
on Main
yep.
Street, and I said, no, the one time that I caught this, like the day or two, I didn't hear about anything like that, and I told her to get everyone's approval from the chamber moving forward, because if there's anyone that's gonna be hit hard,
Sadly,
it's gonna
the
be
chamber
that
and other
group.
businesses, right? Yep.
So that's how I handled that in the past.
I know like DeBoer's has hosted their fun night or whatever, and then they hire a food truck and they park there, and they park on the street by DeBoer's. I'm not saying that I think you shouldn't have a transient pot, I'm just curious how this one request from Carl to put a coffee cart is different than all those other things.
The DeBoer request for different events, they're closing down the street, and there's a request for a food truck.
Right.
That goes in front of the council, closing down the road and all
Right,
that.
right, okay, I
So-
get that makes sense to me.
That's
But they
different.
are still, all of those businesses are not taxpayers for this town, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I can see where it hurts Chris's business that we have a farmer's market, and it hurts Wendy's business that we have flower vendors, and it hurts Jill's business when everybody doesn't want to run an ad, but you know, that's the way, that's partly just free enterprise at the same time, right? But I'm just curious, because I wasn't here last month to hear all of your discussion of that, but I just don't want Carl to think he's being singled out as the only guy who isn't allowed to try to bring people to his business.
I have been very firm. I've went through our different established processes and what's in code. And again here, he doesn't like what I say, and he thinks he's being singled out.
Right, right.
And,
So next fall, will girls' night out not be allowed if
I
they're on the
think
street?
if they're, going to request something like this, close down streets as well, is a solicitor's, I really would like the chamber involved in this process, because if there's someone that's gonna be hurt here on Main Street, they're gonna feel it. And that's not the intention here.
In my mind, some of the things you're talking about is a mutual benefit to the city.
Right.
To
every
draw
business.
people in, where this is not a mutual benefit for the city, it's just him trying to improve his donut sales on a Monday.
Right.
There is definitely a difference there. I
It
mean,
would be
any of these
easier if he just
events,
parked his own coffee pot outside the store, right? Cause we wouldn't, I mean, that's not any different than a sidewalk sale. If he puts his coffee pot outside on his sidewalk, he can do that. No different than Beth can put a rack of clothes out on her sidewalk, right? We do that all the time, sidewalk sales.
We don't wanna go down that road.
Well, I mean, it happens all the time. Beth puts
I
herself, Paula
understand,
does.
but, you know, I'm trying to work through this, but
He
that's
could-
It was his own coffee pot.
That is
he
a
could be
slippery slope.
creative and make it work.
But if it was his own coffee pot, we couldn't really say anything, could we?
That's public property. The way your property ends right there, you step out that door and you're on public property.
So, but then if you single him out, you have to go talk to Beth.
You're right,
talk to
and
Paula,
which is
everybody would say no more sidewalk sales,
correct.
which is like a staple of Main Street community life for years and years and years.
The coffee cart could actually be posted in front of, who's the eye doctor there on the end?
Vermeer,
Yeah, he's got some area right there on private property, you know, that's all rock, that, the coffee cart could actually post up to be fully compliant with our current code. Process, not code,
So the sidewalk is a city sidewalk,
yes.
so why am I paying to have it cleaned?
Thank you.
Sitting right there in a black shirt.
I don't clean sidewalk.
Get a wage though.
he doesn't clean our sidewalk, we pay Logan's.
Yep, you gotta pay, yeah, we pay somebody to
All
do it.
businesses.
Yes.
No, I,
Yeah, and this is good discussion, because there are, it's not clear cut. That's why there's so much discussion.
Our code is old, it's frustrating, but, you know, we are trying like heck to update it. It's just insanely time consuming.
So help me out here, more or less, 90 words or less, because I'm an idiot. Like your girls' night out and so forth is more or less under the jurisdiction of the chamber?
Yep.
yeah.
So would we be better off putting something like this under the jurisdiction of the chamber? Question mark?
Other communities do not operate like that, but I would really like the chamber to be part of the decision, but again, here, they are also volunteers.
The only thing that concerns me about that is Chambers usually doing a event, a one-night event, you know, to try to draw,
It's finite.
you know, like this is something that would be any business that would wanna set up on a certain date, certain location, time, repeatedly,
Potentially reoccurring.
you know.
Well, in actuality, Crazy Days is a chamber event too. I mean, when we do Crazy Days, which we haven't done it now for a while, it's every business
Yeah.
does it, right? We do it all at the same time, like, hey, it's Crazy Days.
Trunk or treat,
you know,
I mean, all
yeah,
that
Trunk
stuff.
or treat, all that kind of thing.
So I mean, them are just events, that's right, I think the
There's
chamber
constraints
fits
to
in.
them, they're finite.
So I think this has to stay in front of the council, because this is something that could be, food truck could be here every day, 5 days a week if they wanted to, right? And that's what they'd be
Okay.
applying for. So I mean, I think we gotta look at, one, there's no tax, so what's the fee? That's gonna be on us.
Right.
And then two, is it beneficial to the community, or is it, you know, which I'm not saying that passes or denies it,
Right.
but then that just changes your fees. If it's a mutual aid to a brick and mortar,
Yeah.
business in town, then I think we, as a council, or whoever the council is at that time, has the power to say, okay, I get the whole picture of this is the fee for that. So that's why I like most of this stuff, and
That's why
5.32.
moving forward with this, you're not saying yes to anything, you're not saying no to anything yet. You're simply
Yes.
moving forward with more defined, okay, this is what, where, when, how it's gonna work.
And that gives them more if they get the chamber involved, that gives them more leverage towards an approval versus just somebody walking in the door, have a great idea, you know?
I mean, girls' night out,
Yeah.
trunk or
that's it.
treat,
Yeah.
crazy days, that happens once a year. I mean, if a coffee cart wanted to come once a year and have an event, that's, to me, that's a different conversation. So.
Excuse me. Any other discussion? Motion to made to move forward with this? No?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to move forward with transient business permit, section 5.32.
Support it.
Which one? Either one, or just specified?
I specified the first one.
The transient merchant.
5.32, Chris.
Okay.
Okay, motion was made by Ryan, seconded by Justin. Did I get that right?
You did?
Correct.
Any other discussion moving forward on that? All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed? Okay, you can move forward with that for our next meeting, and that will require a public hearing as well. Moving forward,
Wait,
Yeah.
quick question on that. Are we establishing a fee at this point, or is that future discussion?
I think that's future discussion. I think that would be based on the number of times and the type of service and all that. We could spitball examples, you know, but if we create an avenue where a food truck can park on Main Street, that permit will be very expensive, substantially more than a coffee cart, because there's that huge benefit. And it's cannibalizing our businesses on Main Street.
But the exception would be if there's an event like DeBoer's, or there's no exception. I mean, I guess I'm confused now that, I get why, hey, yeah, we need to charge a higher volume thing like a food truck. But like, okay, DeBoer does their deal and they have a food truck. Does that food truck need to apply for a permit because of DeBoer's event?
I think the request for an event comes all together at the same time to close down the roads, explain what the event is and who's gonna be there for a food truck, concessions of any nature.
Do you even, I don't even know, do you pay when you go, I don't even know. I think, doesn't the board pay for all that?
not
They pay
the,
for it themselves.
you pay for the
Your food. Yeah, you gotta go buy a food
Oh,
truck.
you do?
They don't
I
pay
don't,
for the food.
Alcohol's free.
but everything else.
okay.
Well, and I mean, there too,
I've never-
I think that
Yeah,
all gets
hours.
rolled up into the event
Category.
category because it's finite here again. That is a defined period, it's here, it's now, and that's it. Whereas anything transient, that could go on for a calendar year,
Is that
right?
clear?
Right? I mean, do I have
That's
that?
the way I
right?
look at it.
Potentially.
Okay,
If it's gonna happen once a year, that's an event.
that's correct.
If you're trying to, I mean, these guys, I mean, if you're having a food truck and you're traveling, you're trying to make a living.
Right.
That's a different scenario to me than an event.
Yeah.
That's just the way I look at it. Okay.
But back to your original question, that fee's gonna be different based on the number of times and location.
Okay, so yeah, that's not a simple discussion for tonight.
Can I ask one more quick question, just to clarify? When they park on private property though, that's
None of our
business, right? So he can keep parking on west sides.
If he wants to have the
A lot of people
if he
do
wants to
that.
have the coffee cart come and they're inside, he can do that.
Anywhere on private property.
Anywhere on
But,
private property.
but wasn't it expected that food truck to become a chamber member? To have a-
Actually, that food truck is a chamber member.
Yes, I'm saying, because,
I don't think the Asian one is, but the Mexican one is a chamber member.
so it's
So
really,
ain't that your buddy?
so it's up to the property owner to make those decisions?
Correct.
So liability and all that,
I'm sure he's getting a fee, right?
I guess, I don't know.
Well, if I had a food truck and it's gonna park on here,
Oh, yeah.
I assume that, what's his name, charges him rent to be there, right? Or he gets free lunch, I don't know.
Yeah, that's between the business owner and the food truck.
Alright, I'm gonna move on.
Sounds good.
Let's go to the Edgebrook parking lot road. So we found out that that technically is a classified road in the city of Edgerton at this time. So yeah, we had talked about, do we keep that a road for when they want to sometime in the future expand into that next lot to the west of their property? Or do we vacate it and they have to, well, I mean, we talked about keeping it as a road because eventually they're gonna need a road then to those properties if they expand to the west with more twin homes, townhomes, whatever you wanna call them, if they do something like that. They're gonna need water, sewer hookup,
How far does the road go?
just to the end of that parking lot, basically.
Yes, sir. You have to create a road, curb over there.
So after this last month, this is all in the paper, and we had a family show up, who's like 3 houses in, and they were concerned about anything being done, just because years ago, their backyard used to flood, and again, it would come into their basement, so they're concerned about additional runoff in their backyard. But, since that happened, they, I don't know, there's like a man-made curb that was installed on that southern side of that road.
There's a curb there, there's a curb in the gutter.
Okay, to help manage that, and they no longer have water in their basement. But in terms of that area that Denny was concerned about here, I think he can make changes to that corner there so that the water drains properly. But it was just that corner that was in question, right?
Yeah, how far are they, where are they going again? Are they going straight up from the road, or were they going over a little into that round? I don't remember that. Or where they're cutting that off.
So I might be wrong, but I understood it that they were just putting cement on the east side of that road. That's the way I understood it.
Yeah, but I'm wondering how far that's coming. You know, that east side of that road is still all the way up to that road there. Do they,
The gutter rounds in there, there's cement. I don't know.
But
I just
that-
thought they were ending there, but if they wanna pour all the way through, there is gonna be some angles and angles there, you know.
and I think that's what they're wondering about. Now that we know that, yeah, we have a road there, we own it, I think they wanna know what they can do if they wanted to change anything about that, what do you want to call it, that gully. I guess it's a curb, but it's an accessible curb.
And you take that out and we'll really have water problems there.
Okay, we were talking about that yesterday. Where does the water run? Does it cross the road somewhere right at that curve?
It can stay right in there or it rounds the corner, you know, you got water coming from both ways, you've got water coming. Their parking lot is sloped to there, but then our road has a crown.
So where does it go? All the way out to County
There's a
9?
Catch basin down here, and I've never seen where that goes. Yeah, it ends up County 9. There's a little under intake on the west side of that north-south road too.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. So does this water, everything that comes up to here, does that go out?
Yes.
It goes out on the road here, and this runs or something here?
Yeah, there's a little like catch basin down there, and I think it goes under the road, some of that. You know, the third house in, they're complaining about water that sometimes runs around the end of the curb, because that curb on the south side, about halfway down, there's a
Yeah,
And some goes that way and some goes that way. But that house, you know, I don't know if they've ever had water in their basement there, but that's one of the houses that I approached about discharging their sump pump to the street too, that's still going into our sewer. They didn't like that very much.
Can't do that.
see, if we're not gonna vacate it, cause we wanna keep that as a road for, and for them, for future access to that properties. Yeah, what they actually want for pouring concrete, do we need to do anything? Let them know that, no, the curb does have to stay and they can,
I would think they wouldn't wanna pour any further than that
Like-
curb there anyway.
like the red, like where that white car is, they'd go straight down there, kinda squared
Yeah.
up with that corner.
And we'll just keep we'll start taking care of that road again. I don't know how many years ago that was, then all of a sudden they said, I don't know who said, it wasn't ours. And we'd spent a fair amount, I think I said that last meeting, of patching that.
Yeah. What does it look like now? I mean,
It needs some work. I'll have to get some work done.
Which-
It's not horrible.
which maybe we don't really need to heavily repair it or do anything until we know they're gonna use it for access to future properties.
Well, I probably wouldn't wanna do anything until they're done pouring cement there, cause I don't know what's gonna have for traffic on it.
Yeah.
All of the old out.
But I don't, then maybe we don't need to decide anything, maybe just need to get back to them, see if they need any further information or decision from us, but,
Should I just go meet there with Denny tomorrow?
yeah,
Please. We'll go meet.
okay. Yeah, and he'll probably ask Dave to come, Dave's, I think, president right now, so,
Dave Rotz.
yeah. Okay. Osborne Township and Cemetery support.
So, last month, council, agreed to, be the backstop for Osborne Cemetery. We had our attorney here, he heard that, went back to his office, and that's when he sent off the email that you see here. Well, he told me that's not a qualified expense to start with because the citizens of Edgerton cannot control what this loss is at all. And then I said, I really need something a little more substantial here to provide the council on, and that's when he sent this email you see in your folder. So basically what this says is that the city cannot be a stop-loss provider. If the city would like to contribute to the Osborne Cemetery, they can, but it needs to be a fixed amount on a regular basis. In the last meeting here too, there was discussion regarding clearing up a contract moving forward, have a proper contract. Osborne Township, in my opinion, just simply needs to properly manage the cemetery like we have to properly manage our water and sewer. If our water sewer is operating, you know, at a loss, we're not gonna go to the county or others to help pick it up. They need to simply do their work, adjust their prices so that they cash flow on a regular basis. Now, they've requested this stop loss here for multiple years. And this agreement goes back multiple years, you know, 17, 18, something like that.
Yeah, even before.
Yeah. So what that also means is that, you know, in the event they decide to expand, there's not gonna be any funds there to expand. They're not operating it properly like an enterprise fund, which is what we have to do with our water and sewer. We plan to do, turn the fire, into an enterprise fund to be self-sufficient. That's kind of the ideal situation. So, anyway. The current agreement that the council has, Edgerton Council has with Osborne Township is not compliant with the Minnesota state statute. That is fact. Additionally here, when the guys came in, Rod and, help me out, Cody
Jeremy.
Top. I requested a copy of their audit financials. They provided the managerial accounting here from your meeting, right? I requested audited financials so that I could tie out what these numbers are, because it's managerial accounting, meaning that they're taking bits and pieces out of their financials and rolling them into a 3-line Excel spreadsheet that shows a loss. This is just, there's a couple things that jumped out that did not look right, and that's the reason that I talked to Kirk about requesting financials for the years that they have a loss, and ideally audited. And why is, just basic questions. Like I know that basic accounting, are they on cash or accrual accounting? What are their prepaids? What did they accrue at year end? What did they purchase more in the previous years? Was there depreciation schedule for that? What sales or expenses did they have in January and December that would account for the increased revenue in the beginning of the year or the end of the year? Should those go in the prior years? And again, these are all very, very basic questions that you would ask when someone is asking you to be the stop loss for their enterprise fund, which is not right either.
So are we,
So there's two decisions, or two routes that we can kind of go to be in compliance. Both would start with rescinding the previous resolution, or whatever it is, decision, to pay the 500 and then 1/3 of losses. And then it would be to pay nothing or pay to a certain amount, but make that definitive.
Static amount.
And don't include losses, like we pay this much a year.
No matter what happens.
Yep.
in the purpose of paying anything, I'm just,
History. That's all we're kind of doing, is following, again, right or wrong, this is just history. That's all we're continuing.
and so we're gonna contribute to Osborne Township. And then what does Osborne Township contribute to Edgerton?
I'm not the right person to ask. We have a horrible relationship with Osborne because I work for this community. Bottom line, I do not think this is proper.
we should define this somehow yet tonight.
Well, yeah, for starters, we have to rescind. We gotta reset,
Yes.
and it's just a matter of what we're gonna do in the future.
Correct.
I mean, I'm not opposed to a partnership, you know, where we can support, them and they can support us. I don't know, and it is Osborne Township right now, the only relationship we have is the cemetery. And then our services that they need, potentially for emergency, fire, ambulance. What, like, how are they different than Hatfield that needs our services for fire and ambulance?
If you look at, fire and ambulance here, Osborne Township is the only one that pushed back on anything we've done regarding, our emergency services, fire or ambulance. They are the only ones. They're the only ones that claim they never received multiple letters. No one has done that at all.
Which is, but, like Hatfield, does Hatfield pay a fee to us yearly for, fire and ambulance?
Yeah, it's in here.
Or any city, I mean, outside of Edgerton? Or, I mean, how's that work?
The city itself, yes, they would be similar to like a township, they would pay for their contract or whatever.
So like Osborne Town has a contract with us for the services that we potentially provide?
Yes.
Hatfield pays $1,925 for the fire contract
Per year?
per
Per
year.
year.
Okay. And is ambulance same kind of setup or is it different?
It's less, but it's very similar.
But so we have contracts with all these cities for whatever service we provide?
Yes.
Okay.
Osborne is also a little different here because we will be asking them to allow us to annex 40 acres.
Now, is that the property we acquired up by Industrial Park?
Yes.
Okay, so we have to have a working relationship here.
I don't remember, who said it, I don't know. You know, one time we had talked about, like now we're doing $500 right now, plus 1/3 of any losses. So do you keep it at 500 to keep that relationship? And they have to manage it accordingly to not have any losses? Or do we go from like 500 to 1,000, keep it at that 1,000? Which, I mean, we can make it into some kind of yearly, what you wanna call it, contract itself, or just keep it as is until decided differently? I don't know.
And whether it be 500 or 1,000, whatever, do we do that with any other city or any other county or any
No, because
township?
that's purely relating to the cemetery. Any other township would deal with their own, like, I don't know, does Hatfield have a cemetery?
Trotsky does.
Trotsky.
They make
But if
their
it,
own
but it's not in city limits, so that would probably be run through their township.
Yeah, probably a lot of them aren't in the city, just like Jasper's probably not in city limits either, that thing's out.
You can't have a city within, your city property ends, the township begins. So it depends on whether or not that cemetery is within city limits or not.
I think Osborne's been wanting the city to take over the cemetery for many, many, many years. But the city, of course, doesn't want to because it doesn't make any money.
Jeff looks super excited. Try not to look so
But
excited.
it could make money, it could, right?
No,
Could
stop, don't even look at that. The goal is to have it, just like our, water and sewer fund, we want them to kind of cash flow and then also put some money off for the future for the expansion or whatever. It's not a moneymaker that will go into a general fund to help decrease taxes. You can't look at it like that.
No, but they should be able to run it and not lose money.
Correct.
He wants it to be self-sustaining.
And
Okay.
it should be.
It should, yeah. But that being said, that doesn't mean that we can't assist in that process. as
Yeah,
well.
we can partners with them.
Yes.
It's just a matter of, yeah. So, I mean, this letter here, it just has to be, I mean, we can't donate any money to them.
We can't, well, we can give them up to 10,000.
We can, it's a donation, but it's not a stop loss. It's what you call it.
So it's just flat out.
It has
Flat.
to be
We
stacked.
How
can't,
to if-
we can't do it
Yes.
like what we
Flat
were
amount.
saying, we can't give them,
So we have to
how
correct
much
that.
did you lose this year, we'll do a third of that, we can't do that.
Okay.
And the whole reason is because the taxpayers of Edgerton have no control over that loss. So we can't be a stop loss if we have no influence over it. That's my understanding on the statute that was in the email.
So you are asking us to come up with a dollar amount.
No, it's really just letting you know who's on first here, what occurred here over this last month, and our, storming relationship with Osborne. And again, we've gotta manage this moving forward here, because I also rolled in a newspaper article from the Pipestone, County Star regarding the, feedlot barrier. And I already know that there's gonna be a wrestling match regarding our annexing that whole issue. So just letting you know, we've already been told that. As we go to annex, they're gonna push back regarding that barrier.
Can we address that one before we bought that?
Well, it's one of those things that, the city, it's my understanding that the city can get done and have the, current, buffer expanded because it's not, impeding any sort of, current feedlot from where it is right now. So they would push back, but legally here, it's my understanding that we would get that barrier if we stay firm. But it's just gonna cost us more legal cost and time. How much? I just figured that it's gonna be a few $1,000s. That's my understanding.
What's the current buffer?
Is it a mile?
I did not.
It's a
End of page 1, beginning of page
1
2.
mile from city limits, a quarter mile from any other residences out in the country.
So regarding that here, next month, I could bring up that, resolution that should be rescinded and roll it into the agenda. Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and then that kinda relates to some other stuff, talking about fire contracts, fire district discussion.
So, over this last month, I've been honest with, Kirk, Mayor, letting them know that we do not have, a healthy relationship with Osborne County, and I just said that we need to figure out how to better manage that. And I said, the problem is, the city of Edgerton has been subsidizing everyone's fire protection since the beginning of time. and Kirk said, Joel, you've gotta show me something. Show me something that really says that. So here is a analysis that I put together. So what this is the total value of dirt and buildings in Edgerton, Trotsky, Hatfield, everyone that we work with, right? And here I've got Edgerton's cost. So in the Edgerton's cost of $53,000 that you see there, that is a number that I pulled directly from our audit and financials. That's our loss that year that the general fund had to pick up and pay for. And then I just kind of numbered everything, all right? So what I did is I took that $53,000 and then divided it into $100,000 worth of value, right? So if you own a $200,000 home, of your city taxes, roughly $100 was actually used towards fire protection here locally. So that's kind of that quick and dirty. And then I figured it out per 100,000 for all of our partners that we work with. And then of course the townships and stuff like that, you know, it's down there quite a ways in terms of what they are paying compared to taxpayers in Edgerton. So what I did down below here is I added in our $53,000, and then each year we put money aside for our assets. So this year I just picked up $36,000. That's what we put aside in 2022 for our truck. Now again, I just put aside that $36,000, and that totals $89,888. That's what the citizens of Edgerton put aside for the truck plus that loss, and that turns out to be $83 per $100,000 in value. And again, I just use those numbers because you can't dispute it. But when you actually look at our fixed assets that we save for, we put a heck of a lot more aside than $36,000, because this is also in your folder as well. So in 2022, for the fire department, we put aside 91 grand. Now that 91 grand is a little deceiving because it has like firefighter retirement is in here for 12 grand. And we get some money here from the state, and we're kind of a pass-through. But I pulled out the $36,000 because you can't argue that. That's a real number that we put aside. So that means that Edgerton here contributed $83 per 100,000, and if you figure that against like the lowest, Battle Plain, that means that the citizens, the folks here in town here, are paying 16.5 times what some of our other partners are paying.
That's why Battle Plain wanted to go with Edgerton Fire Protection and not over.
So I brought this up here, just talking to Kurt. This is more or less showing here, you know, some numbers, but it also shows we need to do something here moving forward, because Edgerton has been subsidizing everyone's fire protection throughout the entire region here. I'm still working through what this all looks like. I talked to our county auditor, because in the fire contracts moving forward, I would ideally like to have that cost for fire protection to include the future cost for a truck. And talking to our auditor, she believes that we can do that contractually obligated, developing a liability on our balance sheet for the fire department, but she wanted me to bounce it off the League of Minnesota Cities, so that we don't have to go and grovel and ask and have people, you know, agree to a certain payment history and then make 2 payments and then not pay the 3rd time. That's really what we have here today. And again, this is all coming to the community that's been subsidizing everyone's fire protection since the beginning of time. This did not happen overnight. So this is just kind of education. Look it over when you have a moment. Feel free, call me. I can go through the numbers here with you. Got no problem at all. And some of those other outlying areas that we have a quarter section here and there, you know, there could be a little variance in some of these costs, but again here, the variance we're talking about per 100,000, we're talking about a variance that's gonna change 10, 15 cents. We're not gonna find anything where the value within their area is off substantially.
Any questions?
Any sort of change regarding our fire contracts and amount here, just, this is not a quick fix at all. This is a multi-year heads up. This is what we're planning before there's an actual implementation. I would really like to educate, you know, our local community on what we're actually paying for fire costs here within town, and then go to our other township partners, because I know that there's gonna be pushback out there, but I wanna educate people within town here to understand what they're currently paying. Additional questions here, though, guys?
Okay, anything else from your report that we didn't go over yet?
All right, let's see here. Top here, next council meeting. We need to talk about that here. Kirk is gonna be in what? Europe? Another planet? Mars? What's going on?
Oh, I'm gonna be gone on vacation the week of, the first week Wednesday in July and the second Wednesday in July. And not that we have to change the meeting date, if that works better for anybody, I will not be there. The first available date would be the 16th. We don't wanna make it later than that, otherwise that's too far away, and then it gets too close to the next meeting following that. So we can either keep it the 9th or move it to the 16th.
Oh, gosh, we talked about this the other day. Anyone remember who's the assistant mayor?
I wanted to say it was right.
It's, on the end.
May, oh no, it's
Ryan.
It's Ryan.
Ryan,
And
did you draw
I,
that short straw?
I can't conduct a meeting.
You gonna be
There's
gone
no
that,
way.
you gonna be gone that day too?
Yes.
I'll be out on
I'll be
that.
sick for sure.
I will not be here that day,
Which day?
the 9th. I will be out.
So that's two of the,
So then it would be good to change it.
so I say let's just change it to the 16th then.
Does that work for
I'll
everybody?
be gone the 16th.
Well,
We'll be gone the 16th?
that's only.
Do we have to keep it on a Wednesday?
No,
No,
we don't have to, no.
no.
I'm good on Monday the 7th.
Well, he's gone,
Oh, the whole week?
yeah.
Whole week.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gone that second whole week, but you're more important than I am.
I think I can muddle through a meeting if I have to. You guys are gonna have to tolerate it.
You may sit in silence for a while to
Does
get
this-
a motion.
Does the
We'll
7th,
we'll help out.
Do you support? Nobody support?
17th work for you? Does the 17th work? Thursday night?
That would be Tuesday night.
You said no.
No,
Or no, I'm
July
looking, sorry,
17th
I'm
is
looking at
Thursday.
June.
Don't you have public hearings that night though, too?
Yes, multiple. We've got 2 public hearings that
Yeah,
night.
that's what I'm saying. Do you want to,
Oh, yeah.
You have to advertise that.
I'm gonna be gone the 17th as well.
They have to advertise.
Justin,
public
you need to
hearings,
make that
and they have
decision.
to advertise and change the date for 2 weeks.
I'm gone a lot at the beginning.
So what about 14th, 15th, or 16th?
what about the 23rd?
I'm out.
It's too late.
I'm good on any of the 14th week.
I'm gone that whole week.
You're gone that whole week?
Which, like I
Because
said,
you're back.
he's more important than I am,
I'll be here the 14th through the 16th. I will not be here the 17th and 18th.
So just do it 16.
16th?
All right, so who's gonna be here on the 16th?
I should be.
I think
Yep.
you got 4 or 5.
Game time decision.
How many?
Josh Kamal called him out of here.
You can't have shortage on
Oh.
2 hearings that night. You can't miss it.
This escalated quickly.
Let me check my other calendar. What day we said, the 16th?
The
Yeah.
16th.
I think Josh is gone that week.
No, I'm gone.
Gosh.
Gone all week.
What did you see about the weekend?
I'm gone the 14th and the 21st, both of them weeks.
What about the last week of July?
We can, I mean, if that, Joel wouldn't be here, it would be the other.
Well, that's right, that's right.
But
Do
when
we have
you're,
one that-
but when you're gone.
We fly right through them.
What about July 2?
Kurt, you're
Too
gone the
close?
second as well?
Yes,
When do you come back?
I'm gone the 1st through the 12th, and then the 17th through the 21st.
Yeah, I'm gone the 14th through the 30th.
So we can't do the
So
second.
the 22nd?
The
Tuesday?
22nd, you're still here or not?
I think so. I need to. Probably. Oh.
I'm not, but Doug said they'll work through everybody hired, so Doug counts me.
Yeah, he got that.
Yeah, things are going well.
I think I'm here, the 22nd.
I am not.
And you'll be gone. And the other 3?
To my knowledge, I'll be here.
22nd year.
I'll be here.
Is
22nd?
that what we're shooting for? Okay,
All right, July 22nd.
Can we just do 2 on August 13th?
we don't do
Start at 3, they have.
Just do one at 4 and one
Yeah.
at 6?
Yeah,
Get a food truck.
Does that need, I don't think we need a motion for that, do we? We're just- But we'll need to put that in the paper for the public hearings and stuff like that.
And the change date, yeah.
That we're moving that, yep.
All right,
Okay,
small
back to,
cities.
back to your report.
Okay, 2 meetings went very well. 2 applicants stopped in, reached out to discuss many of the applicants. Many folks that came in to have me fax all the details here, taxes and stuff like that. Council, please don't forget that the council here has authorized to credit roughly 25 grand for inspections, folks that don't follow through with this program. And that's part of the reason that I really want to slow walk this program to help manage that expense as best I can. Finance, phase 2 through 7. So far here, Fishbach, Klobuchar, and Tina Smith have told me they don't have any money for us in our water and sewer project. This year here, the senators limited 15 projects that they actually forward on to the committees for congressional spending, which is federal earmark money. I've not heard anything from the Minnesota House. They just convened yesterday. I sent a email to Joe Schumacher and Bill Weber to see if they have any more insight. I tried to read the bill that came through, and I see the big dollar amount that was authorized for water and sewer, but I didn't see any community names or bills because Edgerton has their own bill. Wellhead easement, just kind of give you a little heads up. We closed Spencer's Wellhead. As they went through to the final audit and stuff like that, came up through the final audit that Bowser did not like the number of acres allocated for the project. There's a variance in acreage between the Pipestone County GIS site and Bowser site, roughly 10–15%. On Spencer's project, it's roughly 3 acres. So far here, we've been able to add, he had acreage on his property that we could push in, and I'm waiting for them to get back to us and let us know everything's fine. If not, worst case scenario is the city needs to come up with 17 grand. That's the worst case scenario. So I think we will work our way through that, but it's just been very frustrating because no one let us know about this variance between the different GIS softwares at all until the last minute. Car wash construction has been started. Jeff worked with the guys. They installed how many manholes there? 2 manholes. And they replaced old manholes that were brick. So, great. Fire district, as you can see, I did a little analysis here to understand the financial impact here for our community. Osborne Township, here I explained kind of the genesis of our issue, which is regarding not receiving the letters over time, but others did. So that's one bit. The cemetery. You saw the Matt Gross email, the city can donate, and then I'll just puke it out. The city could, take over the cemetery. Jeff has a lot on his plate, so this would be managed here at City Hall, but again here, all we would do is properly manage it so that it would cash flow and it would not cost the taxpayers of Edgerton anything. That's the whole goal, is to set it up so that it's self-sustaining based on the burials each year. The Osborne Industrial Park, I reminded you about the annexation that we've got a request, and then the fire contract pricing. I'm starting to look into setting up fire districts, the process, how does that all work here moving forward as we discuss efficient way of managing our fire services moving forward, because the cost of fire protection is not going down. All right, guys, that is it. Any questions here? Stuff that came up in my presidential report?
Okay, thank you, Joel.
Yep.
Next, any questions on disbursements, receipts?
That 126,
25,
120, what is it?
it was about 125.
We are not going to be seal coating this year. We're going to skip that, so.
Just on the
All the
patches you
other-
did, or you mean in general you're talking about?
In general, I'm not seal coating this year. We're far enough ahead, and I'm gonna use extra to do some patches like that.
Yep.
But it'll still be under budget.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it was 125 or something. I just signed it yesterday.
That was
so.
106, I thought.
Yeah.
48.
Well, they're not a vendor that lets a check gain any dust. Let me tell you that.
Well, Mary had said that. She's like, I'm surprised they haven't called because I was gonna come in on Friday and I didn't sign. So.
Yeah. The invoices are sent off, and we could set our watch within hours. There will be a follow-up. When's that check gonna be ready?
Okay, is there a motion to approve receipts and disbursements from May?
I'll make the motion to approve the receipts and disbursements for May 2025.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Justin, seconded by Kyle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Our next council meeting is for July 22, 2025. That is a Tuesday night, so don't forget that. And then, is there a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Justin, seconded by Kyle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The meeting is adjourned.